Welcome back to Dark Void. Still with episode 2, and now let's see the problem, the major problem. So I hope you're hoping for an extensive character interaction between Atem and the Wheel, but sorry, skipping time.
7 weeks later?
7
Seriously?
weeks.
Yeah, basically, due to the rush development of the game and a lack of budget, there's an entire section where it supposedly will, integrated with the Resistance and had a better talking with Atem about things that's completely cut away.
Okay, so a year passed and Eggman took over the world. Okay.
Sadly, no. There's still 7 weeks, so it's not that much, but it's still like a time skip. This is just for having, the excuse that Will now knows what the Resistance does, and in order to not have everyone treating him like a rookie or something. But it's so jarring, this shift. All of a sudden, and you don't. Also, yeah, this was an export
Captain
mission
Commando.
with transport. Yeah. Now, yeah, I used the project costume to remix of Captain Commando for this.
Oh, where did you get a clean one of that from? I've never been able to find the soundtrack.
YouTube.
I guess. I was wondering if there was actually an official album of Project Crossing 2.
No, I don't think so. Keep in mind also that even if it's on a better system like the 3DS, some of the music quality is still compressed in a way that it's not 100% clear. So...
Well, which is funny, because there are some people who've actually managed to clean them up pretty good.
Some of them, like, for example, the Mega Man themes, or Phoenix Wright, or You Will Know Our Names, seems to be fine. Others doesn't seem so. It's a bit schizophrenic.
I'm just so glad that they at least got a clean...
Never go wrong with Yuzo Koshiro, unless you're Time and Eternity, I guess.
Wait, the same guy who did that also did Time and Eternity?
Yeah, apparently.
That's time.
Wait. Dial back.
Yeah, Pedro, Yuzo Koshiro is the composer of Time and Eternity.
Well, Yuzo Koshiro's been composing games since the 1980s.
I know that, but the fact that the Tea Time feed, that annoying thing, is from Yuzo Koshiro, the guy who gave us those kick-ass themes in Streets of Rage.
And not only that, gave us the great Project Crosszone 2 soundtrack.
Well, to be fair, it wasn't the only composer. Let me check the book. Let's see if he was the one that actually composed.
Also, I still understand because, Motoi Sakuraba also has a situation like this. So due to him being a huge workaholic, he is bound to be tied to projects he doesn't really care about composing. So he probably just release like a cookie-cutter soundtrack and that's it.
I just gotta wonder though. I guess to be fair, the Tea Time theme technically does what it needs to do properly, and I guess the only reason we're so annoyed by it is the fact that it shows up so much, and the fact that tea room has really kind of become a dreaded thing.
Oh,
the tea time theme is not bad. It actually serves exactly the purpose of being a quiet, atmospheric tea time.
He also did the trumpet theme.
But the problem is that the tea time theme is the thing we hear the most in the game, so it eventually starts becoming tiring of it.
Yeah.
Whereas the trumpet theme from Ferref and Seraph, not only is it played way too much, like 90% of the time, but it's genuinely badly made. It
also completely shifts in tone because no other major soundtrack of the game is like that. Also, look at the texture; it isn't loaded yet.
The fudge!
Okay, that was a PS1 texture there. What the fuck?
For the record, because I mentioned this also in our Spider-Man Shadow Dimension run. Yes, my PS3 is old. I should probably...
That has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, no. For testing purposes, also recently, but also when I heard this game, I played for comparison a game that is called Outland. Something I'll probably record in the future still, but a game that has fantastic visual and 60 frames per second. That game has no problems whatsoever on my current hardware. So I'm pretty sure that it's a problem of this game instead.
Well, of course, I said...
Wait, hold on. Why are those guys not in armor? Why are they just out there naked?
I'm guessing they're guards or something.
I'm sorry.
Anyway,
I'm sorry. It makes no sense for the minions that are at your inner core, the very prison core, to not be in their armor because they're kind of dumb without the armor last I've checked. And going by the logic
let
that's
me quickly
established...
say for the reason we're inside here in order to we find another prison camp that we can free, and supposedly Ava is in this one, so we should be able to
Oh
find her
god,
finally
Ava's
here.
been missing for 7 weeks.
Yeah, you know what this kind of reminds me, Jova? When we
Here, only not done as well.
No. Sonic Forces. Sonic has been trapped for months and is being tortured, even though we skipped directly and we don't really see that outcome because there was a translation problem. Yeah.
It's interesting because the aesthetics of this place very reminiscent of the Death Egg level from Sonic Forces, actually. So
Really?
I would still say
remember...
that this game has a worse design overall in everything.
yeah, the bluish hue of the colors and the lighting and stuff like that.
I think you're thinking of like the final laboratory, not the Death Egg so much.
Anyway, your job here is to deactivate the shields surrounding the pillar, the energy pillar, and then pump load into it. Also, another thing that I forgot to mention about the controls. This is one of those games, or one of those TPSs, where in order to sprint, you need to press the L3 button slightly before you start moving. Trust me, it's as awkward as it sounds.
Is there anything about this game?
And it's very clunky, especially if you're not using a proper PS3 controller, like a bootleg one, for example.
You know, at least with Sonic Forces, we at least already knew the characters. Here, though, again, I need to stress again, this is supposed to be a new IP that they're trying to endear us to. Yet it feels like every single chance we may have to maybe see how Will acts under all these pressures or whatnot, they immediately play keep away with us.
Again, I would, for comparison, Remember Me suffers similar problems to this. Developers with little budget, cut content, rush nature. Yeah, that's what I was saying. However, I would argue that in that not only that game has a better structure setting and makes you a bit more interested about Neely and what she does, compared to this one, mind you, but also has a better job in pacing its events. Yes, there are still situations and characters that come and go really quickly, like Tommy Hadich or Olga Sedova, but not like this. This really takes the cake for the job.
As someone who missed out on that commentary, what were you guys' overall experience with that game?
It was boring.
Which game again? Sorry.
Remember Me. My general consensus. My general consensus, Joe, is that similar to this it should have picked one thing between the customization of your combos of a beat 'em up structure or the memory remix structure that functions kind of like a point and click adventure, and stick with that. And that's exactly what the developers did, because they did Life is Strange, which kind of function in a similar way to the memory sequences. Yes.
Not to mention. If the game didn't tell us it was set in New Paris, I wouldn't be able to tell it was Paris. There's nothing Parisian about it.
Actually, it lives right at the end of the first chapter. We fight at the base of Notre Dame. I even showed it.
So, Shiroi, would you say that...
How often there are Parisian landmarks in the game?
There's a Tour Eiffel in the background in multiple instances, for example. You get into the basement of La Bastille.
My basic gist of Remember Me is that the gameplay is competent for them. It's nothing particularly great, but it's solid enough, I guess. It's most of the story that's just is really hard to get invested in because the game doesn't really do a good enough job in
I need to mention this. I need to mention this. The first time I actually did the round of this, there was actually a glitch in here where the person here did not spawn, and thus I was basically stuck and had to restart the last checkpoint. But it took me a while because it didn't give me the prompt that I was supposed to do like that. There you go. You're supposed now to disconnect these cellars in order to free the prisoners, but it didn't spawn the correct script. It never happened to me again. It was very situational.
Let me guess, Ava's being...
Yes, Joseph?
So sure, would you say that Remember Me wasn't very memorable?
Not really, but I'll give it credit. There was more to talk about there than here.
There's also the
In
fact...
the good sense or the bad sense?
There's also the fact that Downtown had a lot... There's also the fact that Downtown had a lot of trouble finding a publisher before Capcom because they wanted to keep the idea of having Nilin being female as a result. But people like Activision and Ubisoft, people we contacted for publisher, they were not trusting the project supposedly because of that. And even when Capcom picked up the idea, there's now the infamous cover of the game that shows Nilin's ass in your face, even though in the game Nilin is completely non-sexualized.
But hey, Joe, that's why the game's called Remember Me. They gave us to tell us to remember it.
Oh, hey, look at that. That was totally a Resident Evil moment. Dark rooms, like creepy crawling.
The problem with this game, I guess too, considering the lab basement kind of like thing.
You know, it's funny, T.O. You mentioned now you have to wonder if we were interrupting something, because, yeah, I can't think of any other reason for the guards to be down here naked.
Anyway, this is one of the few instances when you can use this magnet gun. Actually, I think it's the only one, actually. The game actually throws for these special weapons for maybe 1 stages per each. Like now you have this magnet weapon, and in 1 later stages you have a Tesla gun, appropriately. But it's very situational. For the most of the game, the TPS stages of the game, you're basically being carried by 3 things. The human standard carabine, the alien standard carabine, and the sniper rifle. Basically everything else is either superfluous or extremely situational. If it sounds kind of familiar, it's because a lot of bad games, like for example the Battleship video game, which yes I do have by the way, get ready in the future for that too, function kind of exactly like that. You have a couple of weapons, but some of them are very situational and you rely basically on 2 or 3. It doesn't alphabet. This time instead, taking cues from Halo of places, you can only carry 2 weapons at a time.
See, it made sense in Halo since that was an older game.
Not to mention, supposedly in Halo, it's a component for balancing the multiplayer, which by the way, yes, there is actual multiplayer in this game, but I know actually no one who even bothered playing online, so I didn't even try it.
Dare I even ask if it's fun?
I don't know. I honestly don't know, Jova. I honestly don't think... You know that PSN Profiles has this kind of rule that until the servers are dead for a game online, they will periodically organize a tournament on their boards just so they can keep the online components stable in some form and give a chance to people to get the trophies online that they need for some occasion. Not for this one, apparently.
Wow, it was that bad?
I don't remember any particular threads. If anyone knows it and can type in the comments, feel free to contradict me, but not that I know.
Man, this game just didn't have a shot.
But anyway, like I said, for Halo it was more of a multiplayer kind of thing. It kind of makes sense. But for the single-player experience on this game, I would argue will give a lot more reason to carry multiple weapons. It's a problem that plagued a lot of games of the time, especially 2K things published by 2K, namely Duke Nukem Forever and Bioshock Infinite, for some reason.
Wait, 2K did Bioshock Infinite?
It's a publisher.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, okay.
At this point, Bioshock... Basically, 2K's major flagship franchises now are XCOM, Bioshock, and Duke Nukem. I don't remember... Oh, okay, there's the NBA stuff, but that's sport. Like it's like, say, yes.
GTA?
That's... Yeah, the entire Rockstar package is under 2K's flagship, but we do have some limited control of it. Oh yeah, there's also Borderlands. I forget about that. But keep in mind, I don't really have any mostly positive things to say about Randy Pitchford these days.
Who does?
Yeah.
It's weird how Bioshock is apparently one of their flagship stuff, seeing as how the last Bioshock game we got was in 2013.
They seem to be rumors that they want to either continue it with a different studio or reboot it entirely.
Conflicting. I mean, on the one... It's weird how time has aged. Remember back when people used to hate Bioshock?
Also, yeah, the frame rate completely died on me.
Hey, Tia, remember when people used to hate Bioshock 2? And nowadays, a lot of people will say that Bioshock 2 is actually better than Infinite.
Yeah, well, I would argue that they are decent on for different circumstances.
Oh,
Oh,
absolutely.
so you're telling me that the Bioshock fanbase operates on Zelda fanbase logic?
Well, not entirely. More like, well, okay. Their opinions on Bioshock 1 have not changed. They still regard Bioshock 1 with high praise and all that. And don't get me wrong, people still like both Bioshock 2 and Bioshock Infinite. It's just that people at first used to hate Bioshock 2 for reasons. I can't quite
It
recall.
was because supposedly it was because it was more of the same. They were hoping it was like a complete different story altogether and everything, but it was a bit more of the same. Yes, there was the novelty where you're controlling a big daddy instead of a human character. But the story of Rapture, by the time of Bioshock 2, it was kind of over. It was more like, it felt more like an afterthought. I honestly thought it was okay, nothing too special, but solid still.
I actually liked it better than Infinite from the get-go. And don't get me wrong, I still like Infinite.
Infinite suffers from a lot of things. Mostly the fact that a lot of content was reworked or cut. There are people who made bit-by-bit comparison from early trailers and said that basically almost nothing that there was in those trailers is actually present in the final game. Mostly because apparently a lot of things got restructured. Hence also why my comment on the previous part on why I think giving Elizabeth invincibility while escorting her was felt more like a thing that developers tacked on because they were afraid it was becoming too annoying and they couldn't, circumvent that in other ways.
Let's not forget the biggest controversy with Infinite nowadays, the lack of your choices actually mattering.
True that. It goes full Final Fantasy 13 too with that.
I honestly have to wonder, I mean, don't get me wrong, Infinite's still a good game, but I do wonder what was the big praise for it back in the day, seeing as how nowadays it
Artistic
gets
value. That it had.
I guess they were happy that the original creators returned them.
It had the vintage vibe that wasn't on up until the point. And it was one of the first that talked about themes, about some themes in particular ways that games were not talking about that at that moment, mainly depicting colonial racist America, basically, like a thing through time. And having the tone of a Twilight Zone episode when you think about it.
Would you say it was also because the original creators from the first Bioshock game returned?
Yeah, that too. Yes,
I haven't played 1 or 2, but I have played Infinite. And the one thing I do appreciate about Infinite is that, unlike a lot of first-person shooters, this Infinite had a more brighter color palette.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's what they meant. The presentation helped immensely. Also, finally, this entire prison
you were in
sequence.
That tunnel the entire time?
Yeah, I was having to defend a horde while the prisoners were getting rescued.
What about Ava, though?
This particular mission is a chore and basically the second worst in the entire game.
And it
the
doesn't
first
feel
comes
like we
later.
accomplished that much either, because I mean, I know technically we've freed all these people, but for what? For just this tiny little what?
The camera was
it?
The cutscene basically ended, but the camera was still stuck on that point instead of cutting to black immediately.
It's gonna be one of those games, isn't it? Like, did we even rescue Ava? Like, we don't even see.
She's about to show up.
So we did it off screen. I mean, maybe she was one of those random people, but I wouldn't know.
There she is.
With new gear and everything.
Too.
Wait, so are the chief people in on all this, and that's why Tesla was in the ruins?
No, they were just big teams, people stranded there. Think of like the natives in Peter Pan, the Peter Pan visuals.
Huh.
Then a mighty blaze.
Yeah, here's another problem. You bother to include Nikola Tesla in this game, but he's of barely any impact, believe me.
Hey, if Tesla wears this.
Yeah.
What, Dweebs?
Yeah, there's the whole Tesla Edison debate.
Again, Dweebs, we don't have that in this game.
That could have been something interesting. It's like, okay,
anyway, understandably, Will is actually concerned about this. But of course, we cannot have it because we need to launch the Ark.
Also, I love how Nikola Tesla already had to radio into her even though they were barely walking away a few seconds ago.
That's a problem that happens in this game in general.
You know, again, the thing with this game, this game does not... 6 hours...
6 hours later.
Oh my god, quit it.
Wait.
Why did we need to skip 6 hours later after that cutscene?
I have no idea.
So
anyway,
was this written by Frank Miller? Like
what we need to... Well, I will say that while the time skips are annoying, time passing is still comprehensible, unlike in the Dark Knight Rises.
Oh my god, what's hitting you?
I think you mean All-Star Batman and Robin.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah, All-Star Batman and Robin.
So, I thought you meant 12 years a slave.
Yeah, basically what you need to do now is basically to clear the entire area before the arc can actually launch. It's another tedious mission, so skip.
Basically, Shiroi, to give you a basic idea of what I was talking about, me and Jova, Ocarina of Time came out and it was universally loved, then Majora's Mask came out and people, oh, this is not like Ocarina of Time, whatever, change it. But then when Wicker came out and people, no, this is way too cartoonish and childish, go back to Majora's Mask. Now that was great, it was dark and cool. Then Twilight Princess comes out and it goes back to the darker and cool and darker and gritty aesthetic. This is so boring. Why would you do this? This is not Zelda. Go back to the cartoony art style of Wind Waker. That was the better one. That's the basic gist of the Zelda fanbase, Shiroi.
Then Skyward Sword came out trying to be a compromise between the two, and people apparently didn't like it because of emotion controls, I think.
To be
No,
fair,
that was more so emotion. There was so more problem too that while I do personally think the motion controls are really good, as long as you're willing to learn them properly and not give up immediately.
They're an acquired taste.
They are an acquired taste, I will admit.
Do you think? Actually, I'm curious. Do you think that game would be potentially portable for the Switch?
Yes, remember the Joy-Cons also have motion sensors.
Well, but would it work in portable mode? Well, yeah, true. The Joy-Cons are detachable.
Yeah, you can use the Joy-Cons in portable mode.
Anyway, all of this, let me be quick. You're supposed to use the not inside to actually instead charge the engines in order for propel it. Yes,
it's not like
after
we could just hook
you're
these
supposed to do this.
What are we, the laundry boy, the electric man, the cable guy?
No. It was more so the fact that it's a combination too of specific gameplay art style. For Wind Waker's case, mostly art style. But no, the Zelda fan base is incredibly.
I know that. I know that.
It's they literally change their mind on a whim every time there's a new game. Just keep this in mind when I say 10 years from now.
The game doesn't change their mind on a whim.
Sure. Write this as I'm telling you right now. 5 years from now, the Zelda fans will be calling Breath of the Wild overrated crap. It will happen. But write my words.
Aren't they already?
You're like
Pedro,
you're like a Simpson pointing out at Homer. It will happen to you.
I've already seen people call it boring.
Oh, no, trust me, Shiro. That's just the beginning of it.
Anyway, the arc finally can move, but we need to clear the area a bit more because 3 Archons show up.
Oh, goody. Again, remember when these sections used to give us joy? Now they managed to make even the flying sections feel
You
tedious.
also may have noticed that the game is becoming more increasingly rushed in nature.
I'm noticing that the game is starting to become more unstable. Seriously, what is up with the frame rate?
Also, like I said, rushed. Because if you noticed, for the entire first episode, it was this linear TPS with minor platforms. And when you get the jetpack to free roaming mode, when you encounter a Tem and have a bit more linearity. But as soon as you lift off the area right after you rescue a Tem, the game becomes basically an almost completely different one. You're stuck in areas doing only dogfight and basically horde mode all the time. Also, yeah, look at that ragdoll.
Oh my god, he was still twitching.
The arm, it was like flailing like that. But anyway, and or you're doing these air score missions that are slow as molasses, but not even completely hard. Because
how did that laser not incinerate him?
He just dodged it like that, and again, convention is more convention.
I know, it's just from the camera angle, it looks like part of it's hitting him.
The primary difference too is that unlike when it comes to this motion control of Skyward Sword, it was for the purpose of creating more realistic sword fighting.
No. The laser clearly hit his leg and his crotch there.
It was, thankfully, I was already in the motion for
Get your logic out of here.
I was already in the motion for the quick time event to be, finished. Therefore, I gained invisibility frames as a result.
But Jova, gunshots. But Jova, gunshots, explosions, excitement.
Guys, it doesn't really get better until maybe one level near the end of it.
That explosion effect looks terrible.
I mean, it's not pizza, and oh my god, I can still say that this looks better than Mighty Number 9. That's sad.
I was gonna say that from Capcom.
Wait. Why was the laser thinner on this one?
I don't know.
Because shut up.
But going back to us talking about how this game doesn't seem to use stuff properly.
Oh, no, only one Archon God, Jova.
Again, if I weren't constantly reminding myself, I'd have forgotten we were in the Bermuda Triangle during before World War II.
Yeah, remember, we are in a space between spaces that is holding these serpentine alien creature who are tampering with World War because they want to get back on Earth and enslave humanity again.
And yet, I can barely remember.
Red Mountain.
And yeah, that's the thing. We can barely remember that because they don't seem to really do stuff with it. Again, remember how when in the Bermuda Triangle we had stuff like the USS Cyclops at least for like one section? I mean, that was interesting, but then after that, they don't do anything more with the fact that we're in the Bermuda Triangle. Like, why not show that flight team that went missing, or those other ships that have gone sinking or whatnot? Again, it's just such a waste. Like, why bother having it happen in the Bermuda Triangle? Why bother having it happen near World War II if you aren't even really going to reference that stuff properly? Might as well be just some generic date on some generic portal or whatnot, which we pretty much are in a generic portal.
Don't worry, Jova, the Stargate will also shows up near the end.
You know what's sad? Even Scooby-Doo Ghost Pirates Ahoy, which took place in the Bermuda Triangle, did stuff with the Bermuda Triangle. Because, if you're gonna have something happen in the Bermuda Triangle, reference the stuff that happens in the Bermuda Triangle. It's not that hard. Hooray! We're clear! So what was keeping those other two from firing on you if almost nobody else can seem to do anything?
I don't know.
Actually...
What the fuck is wrong with this game?
The gameplay for a bit, and then
Again, the cutscene ended, but the camera was locked there.
Wow.
Camera is just wants you to play the game.
It's kind of like in Sonic Boom Rise Lyric, where sometimes when they're about to load a cutscene, the characters become unmovable, and the game starts slowly fading to black because it's trying to cover the loading for the cutscene.
Anyway, tune in for the next part for the epic conclusion.
Oh, I'm sure it will be just super.
Whoa.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.